So a little bit about you, Dipti, and a little bit about White Salt Entertainment. Now, you started off your career in finance, right? And then
Yes.
how did you decide to go from finance to entertainment? That's a
Oh,
considerable shift. How did you make that?
oh, absolutely. Firstly, let me, thank you. I think all of you guys are doing a lovely, lovely job. It's a great initiative at Get Basis, where you are helping women take control of their money. And I think I can say with experience that it's liberating to be financially independent. So thanks on behalf
Thank
of
you.
all the women out there to all you and the entire team at Get Basis. Like you said, a little bit of brief about how we started. You'd be surprised to know officially we entered the event business under the name of White Salt Entertainments in the year 2012. But unofficially, we've been a part of it in the year 2011, where we took up, where I was, like you rightly said, working with a finance company straight out of college in Mumbai. And
Yeah.
was very comfortable doing that. Then came an opportunity of a wedding that an events agency in Mumbai dropped midway, and the wedding was 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks away. So
Right.
I immediately grabbed that opportunity without really having a solid permanent team in events, without having an
Mm.
entity, an official company in place. We took up that project, we delivered that project successfully. And there was no looking back, Apurva. I think I understood my strengths. And I think, the fact that I realized I'm solving a pain point got me into making a very quick call. I came back to
Yeah.
Calcutta from, the place where I'm from. And
Yeah.
we started White Salt and with a bang. We basically, it was an investment funded by family, completely supported by family. And we launched ourselves with a play in Calcutta. There's been no looking back ever since. And we've been, creating experiences ever since.
That's incredible. So, how does someone with absolutely no experience decide to set up their own company, right? Like, first of all, even starting your own company, there's 20 different licenses that you have to sort of register for, right? And then, even in the event space, you need to get permissions for a whole bunch of things. You need to have, and this, and managing an event has so many different moving parts, right? Like you need to coordinate with the venue, you need to have a decor team in place, you need to have sound and light. There's so many, your finance, your marketing team, all of that. And so how did you really like set all of that up?
Apurva, this is something I think people make a mistake with. Everybody feels like to start off, you need to have, a lot many formalities to complete. Let me tell you, if you know your strengths, if you know that you're capable and you're sure, you're confident, you can solve pain points, you can address people's problems. I think you need to take that leap. Things start falling in place one after the other. We did not start with a full-fledged company where, multiple licenses were required. You had to kind of onboard directors, nothing. We started simple as a proprietorship with bare minimum formalities. I remember clearly, like, because you mentioned, one of my uncles said, why don't you just start doing this in your own name? That's how simple it is to really get into business. And I think it's extremely encouraging when it comes from people who are experienced and from people who are into business. If they give you a little push, I think things start falling in place. And as far as, making your teams are concerned, as far as your vendor networks are concerned, we are in the business of only and only networking. And the better you are at it, the better you're going to be in any form of business. So I think that really answers your question. Just take the leap. I think that's what I did. And I think I'm enjoying this, over the last couple of years.
So what are some types of events that you've done? What have your favorite, events been, and what have some learnings along the way? Learnings could be failures, could be mistakes, but things that you learned and sort of took in your stride along the way.
So frankly, we are into the social space as well as the corporate space. For me to say that I enjoy a certain one more than the other would be absolutely unfair to my clients, because I love all of them and we're with them strongly. We have their back. We deliver events as per the objectives that they placed before us.
Yeah.
As far as to be able to solve the problem is concerned, there is, I believe, in only one thing, Apurva, and that is, no matter how careful you are, there is this one risk that nobody can absolutely do away with, which is the risk of going wrong. So with that belief and with that hope, we when we started off, the first project was a wedding, followed by another wedding after we officially formed White Soul Entertainments. And
Yeah.
the fact that we could successfully deliver that, it just kept adding projects into our basket. Because this is a game of referrals. This is a game of proving that you're able to deliver what you think you are able to deliver, and that's quite a reassurance. That reassures you really.
So you built your network, obviously through word of mouth, but did you also
Yes.
have to attend networking events, in terms of putting yourself out there,
Yes.
advertising your services? Yeah.
So one interesting leap that I took 3 years after starting White Salt was 3 years into business, continuously delivering projects. I went back to Mumbai for 1 year, and there are these professional courses in event management. A lot of people said, you're already into business, you already have projects, in the pipeline. Why do you want to do this? My reason was not to sit in the classroom and, mingle around with people. I think I was very clear with my agenda, which is these platforms, these institutes open up so much possibility of networking with industry peers, with industry people. And I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that's really helped me scale my business. And I think you just need to be really clear about the next step that you want to take. And if you can rationalize, you should just take it up totally.
Right. So in terms of, your 10 almost 10-year journey now,
8.
right, in
Yes.
the event space, you've seen the entire industry sort of really become bigger, right? Everything in the event space has become bigger, whether it's having a wedding, whether it's having a corporate event, there's so many, it's become so much more professionalized. Even clients have higher expectations in terms of the kind of event that needs to be run, right? So talk to us a little bit about that journey and managing expectations, ever increasing expectations, I should say, of clients.
Honestly, every project, because we are into the business of experiences, we are into the business of solving, this problem that for example, if it's a social wedding, we're dealing with families, not just one people. So I say this to my team to kind of make sure that they understand that you understand we are dealing with emotions. And
Yeah.
and I think our focus lies on the fact that we are looking to solve the problem that you want us to solve. We are not looking to sell the service that we are providing to you. I think that's the bottom line. That's one thing that I reiterate, and I kind of keep reminding my team about. Try to solve the problem. Everybody will have a unique issue. Everybody wants a certain something from your services. I mean, the services could be common, the problems are all different. So that's one underlying thing that I keep telling people throughout my team.
So you've conducted events now, you started off in Calcutta and then slowly you started expanding your event reach across India as well, right? So where all have you conducted events and how many events? What is the kind of scale of events that you've conducted?
So scale wise, I think we don't know no for an answer. So if you come up with a request to probably if you tell me that I just want you to do this for me, I know it's nothing for you. I think we're happy to deliver if we can, and depending on availability. As
Yeah.
everybody is looking to get a large chunk of the pie, I think I truly believe in the fact that when you keep involving and keep enjoying the smaller chunks, the big things will come to you. And that's how we've grown over a period of time. So yes, and for the last couple of years, corporate events, for example, was very difficult to crack in the beginning because everybody is looking for credibility. Everybody is looking to see your portfolio of work. Weddings are
Yeah.
easier. Of course, weddings nobody takes a chance with, but I would say they're easier to crack than corporate events.
Right. So how did you crack your first corporate client? How did you convince them in your pitch?
Apurva, I think I would mention we had done a huge social celebration for one of my clients based in Calcutta. This gentleman happens to be somebody we deliver events till date. It's been 8 years. We deliver
Oh,
events for him
wow.
till date, and he gave us a first break in corporate events. And because we were able to deliver that successfully, it just kept on adding, and we could refer to those projects. We also started to deliver corporate events within his peer network. I think that's really how we got going.
Right. So, obviously things have really changed and slowed down. Slowing down is actually an understatement as to, what's happened to the event industry ever since the
It
pandemic
is.
has forced us into a lockdown. Uh, do you foresee events even taking place, once the lockdown lifts? How do you see the pandemic really playing out? Yeah.
Um, Quite honestly, Apurva, we are into the business of meeting people. We are into the business of handshakes and hugs. But again, there is a proverb that goes like, there is absolutely no success without challenge. Very realistically, we are facing a huge challenge currently. And it's
Yeah.
extremely important to be cognizant of the fact that when you see a glass half full, I mean, you have to be cognizant of the fact that the glass is actually half empty. This is the time when you have to understand that things are not in our control. It's not like we're willing to deliver, and
Yeah.
we will be able to if we are good enough. Over the next 1 year, we don't see the events industry opening up at all, because we really don't know how many people at a time will be able to come together. Even if there is no such rule imposed by the government against the gatherings of
Yeah.
people. I think
Yeah.
personally, you and me, everybody is going to be petrified of the thought of going to crowded places. So this is a
That's
time, absolutely, and this is a time when we need to understand what is it that we can do to make sure that A, we are able to take care of ourselves, B, we are able to take care of our teams, because of course it's people have families. We don't want to break news which is going to be difficult for anyone. So
yeah.
a little bit of digression, I think, from what you currently do, if you're into such lines, is extremely important. And I think, yeah, at least you will be able to keep people involved, and there'll be some kind of inflow. Events is
Mm.
absolutely dry for the coming few months. And if you ask me a question that a lot of people we discuss through and through with, experiences, will it go virtual completely? I think the answer is no. But is virtual going to be a huge part of experiences? Very much. I think we need to look at the bigger picture. We need to really, at any point in time, unfortunately, we're stuck in this time, and we are kind of now looking at, what we can do. I think as part of any business culture, we need to always, think long term. We need to think future. We need to be able to predict the future and take steps. So if you face an uncertain time like this again, ever again, God forbid, you have alternatives.
Right. Now, what you're saying is very interesting, and I'm going to tie this into a comment that Urjao Jha left on the chat. She said, "What are some of the important things to keep in mind for budding event planners in a post-corona world?" And I want to tie that to what you said about, is every experience going to be virtual? No. But will virtual become a really big part of the event industry? Yes. So how do you see that playing out?
Of course, that's a very interesting question. I think, Apurva, we must understand, I believe in this. There are three responses to any idea. Now, whether you're looking at fusing, building events and experiences using virtual as a, using digital as a platform, I think there are only three responses to the idea: yes, no, or wow. So the fact that times are uncertain, there is no establishment, there is absolutely no validation of any idea whatsoever so far. So this is a good time to experiment. And I think wow is the space that we need to aim for. So with an idea to fuse, events with digital India, if I can say, we need to aim for wow. And I'm 100% sure, if not wow, we will land in the yes zone, and things will then definitely work.
Right. Live streaming, do you see live streaming of events? Is that going to become really big? How do you see that playing out?
I think live streaming in itself is already an established platform. But like I said, I do not see a live streaming platform to replace physical events. There is no way you can do that, because even before the pandemic struck us, every day our endeavors are, it would be an attempt to figure out how we can make an event more experiential. How
Yeah.
can we get people to connect more with the objective of the event? And when you're sitting at home or office or in the car, kind of being part of maybe a live event or streaming a live something, I think the audience retention overall is very poor, unless and until you're looking at a celebrity who you really ardently admire and follow. You know,
Right.
the overall retention is really poor. So I don't see it, as something that will replace physical events at all.
Got it. So, interestingly for you, you've had to scale back your events business, and now you've completely switched from events to providing essentials because that is, it's the need of the hour and it's also a way to make business survive. How did that switch happen? How are you faring now? Are you comfortable? How do you see yourself and White Salt sort of scaling this up going forward?
Well, it's been a very, very recent addition. I'd say it's a new stint altogether. We've had absolutely no background in products. And I think I'm back to 2012 when I had no experience in events whatsoever. Nobody to tell me this is how things are. Absolutely back to square one. And I'm glad, I have experience starting from scratch, because I'm sure with an idea like this, when I'm genuinely trying to, kind of solve a pain point, we actually genuinely faced this problem a couple of weeks ago. We were unable to step out, and we were unable to get anything delivered to our doorstep in small quantities. And
Right.
that really got me wondering, if currently with the rules, only essential services and products can be provided. You can only hit the street if it's an absolute emergency or it's an essential. So we picked
Right.
this up immediately, and we said, okay, I mean, the need of the hour is to stay home. Let the whole of Calcutta, just stay home. Let's be available for them with our limited inventory, with the limited team that we have. By inventory, I mean the human resource inventory. Let's start delivering. I mean, max to max, this belief that you can deposit money and it, multiplies. But if you start depositing excuses, I mean, God be with you. You have to take that chance. you know we don't want excuses to multiply and land into failure. So we took this
Right.
leap. It was a plunge, and I think so far it's been heartening to see that, it's been crazy, honestly. It's been absolutely crazy. My phone never rung so much. My team members, they've been going crazy with calls. We've been sleeping, I think, at 4 in the morning, getting up at like 9:30, 10 in the morning, because we start getting calls by that time. That's how crazy it's been right now, trying to regularize this entire demand and supply for short, small quantities.
So, Parul Shah has tuned in and she said, you started providing essentials to combat COVID. What made you do that? How did that thought strike you? And, you just addressed that. So, Parul, Dipti just addressed
Yes.
that she was running an entertainment business and she just had to switch overnight, and you just have to do what you have to do, right? And like you said, you can't deposit excuses. Somewhere you have to just,
Absolutely.
find a solution to, yeah, to survive and to make your business work. So for those that are joining in, right, I think the question really is, where do you see, 2020 is probably going to be a washout in terms of entertainment, unfortunately,
Yes.
right? Even the Olympics are being delayed. Every major sports event is being delayed. Every single, you foresee weddings being delayed. Corporate events are definitely not going to happen, right? So can you give us a landscape of 2020 in terms of the event space and what you see potentially happening in 2021?
I wish I had an answer to that, Apurva. For now, I think we are all bracing for impact. This is not even we're not even like 10% into the zone that we dread. Honestly, it's time, and not just for the events business, for the travel and tourism business, for anything to do with socializing and meeting and greeting. I think it's important to immediately think of alternatives. Um, Nobody can really afford to lay back, irrespective of what backgrounds you come from. At the end of the day, this is the perfect time to hustle, and this is the perfect time to experiment, because things can't get worse from zero. It really cannot.
Right.
That's just this. It's the worst case is to be in the same space, right? So in terms of the events and experiential industry, a lot of experiments are happening in the virtual space. People are coming up with bizarre ideas of probably creating movies at home, sit at home, create movies, produce to be able to do the post production of this is going to be great business. The editing team in the world of events and experiences, I personally feel this is a great sector within this sector, where we can multiply things that are digital, things to do with editing, things to do with creating more value. I think that's the only thing we can explore currently.
Wow. So I'm just gonna walk you through a couple of comments that have come in. Harsh and Mansi, Harshodhan and Mansi Mansaria are really excited to hear what you have to say. Henna says, so true, it's only upwards from here. You could be at zero, but you have to find a way to make things work. Mansi at Just Delivery saying, love the word hustle, doing all that it takes. Alkasha is saying, with safety measures. Oh, Alkasha has a question. With safety measures, is it possible to conduct small events?
So if you go by the government norm, weddings of maybe 50 people, up to 50 people, is going to be allowed anytime from June onwards. However, 50 is a number that you can only count within friends and family, right? So it's still very limited, and it's very much possible. Absolutely is.
Right. So 50 people as an event, which is still, for Indian standards, 50 people is really easy. That's
That's
just your
absolutely,
family.
yeah.
Yeah. If I had to count the number of family I have in Bombay, that's 50 people. That's not even counting my friends. Um, right. So in terms of, okay, so that's for 2020, and you're also saying that video editing and post-production of videos is going to be big because you can completely do that from home.
Yes,
And you foresee that as a growing, a growing
yes,
market within the event
absolutely.
space. Harsh Shodhan is asking, Dipti, do you think this will purge out unorganized and small players?
Unfortunately, yes. While it's absolutely heartbreaking to think of the small players, because in India, the events industry is a largely unorganized sector. Absolutely, very much. There are, over the last couple of years, there's been a mushrooming of event agencies who are very, very small time players. However, as a matter of fact, in today's day and time, it comes as a blessing. The bigger you are, the bigger the trouble for you in the events industry, because large agencies have had huge investment in events.
Right.
The losses have been absolutely large in numbers. It's been scary. It's been frightening. And I think, the question that Harsh poses, the fact that very, very small players will definitely perish. But agencies which have been balanced, which have not really gone into making large investments, which do not run on large operational costs, I think they're still in a better place.
Right. So being small and agile helps you, be nimble and, make quick switches. Whereas if you're large, it might actually even work to your detriment because you have such a high upfront investment involved.
And
Um,
operational costs, yes.
and operational costs as well. So Dipti, we're running out of time, but in terms of last couple of comments, how do you see essentials changing your business, right, for 2020, for 2021? Any thoughts around that? Yeah, going forward, is this going to be a large part of your business? How are you thinking about that?
Apurva, honestly, we're not really thinking of digressing from our core service, which is event management services. For now, which is events is a complete. It's a space that has absolutely zero movement. So while we're trying to solve the problem through the business and essential goods, I think eventually over the next couple of years, we may take this up as a separate vertical altogether. But at no
Right.
point in time is it going to compete with our core business activities, which is event services. Absolutely not.
Got it. And for everyone at Basis, we, as you know, Basis's prime purpose and objective is to empower women with financial independence and financial freedom and help them on their journey to make personal finance easy for them, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your own investment sort of strategy? What do you think has worked for you and what you'd like to share with the Basis community?
Absolutely, in relevance with today's time, I was in fact reflecting on my business decisions over the last couple of years. I think I've been very lucky. I've been brought up with very middle class values, and I really, kind of understand. There's an underlying, learning, that I've seen from childhood. Irrespective of your income, it's important to save and it's important to invest. There is a myth amongst especially youngsters where they feel like they don't have enough income to invest, and I would say that's you need to do away with that immediately if you want to secure yourselves. And with
Yeah.
platforms like yours, with the support that you would Get Basis provide, I think one major learning would be to be able to understand what part of your income, at least 25-30% of whatever income you have, should definitely be invested, definitely be looking to multiply it, definitely be looking to deposit in some form so it can multiply. Uh, Personally, I think I've done that from day one of being financially independent, starting from very, very meager, earnings as a startup to today, up till now.
Mhm.
I think I've just made sure that whatever it is, it really does not matter. You need to secure yourself, and that can only happen with being wise with your money. And it's
Right.
something that I'd like to really reiterate to everybody.
So you're self-made, right? As an entrepreneur, and the savings that you made, you've invested that into your business, and whatever is in your business is being plowed back. And that's fantastic, right? Like for everybody on the Basis community, I think for me, one personal learning is you were in the finance space and then you got into entertainment with absolutely no experience, no background in it. And now you've pivoted because of the lockdown. You're now starting essential services. Again, it's something that you didn't have experience in, but you said, "Hey, I can't make excuses. I need to, make things work. So
Absolutely.
let me try my hand at this as well." So I think my one takeaway from this entire conversation with you has been to really stop making excuses and just go, and you have to deliver. There's no option.
Absolutely. And I think if you take work as play, I mean, there, you don't even have to consciously make an attempt to feel like work is play. If it comes naturally to you, everything is doable. It's never easy, but it's really worth it when you find yourself in a good space at the end of it all.
Right. Um, Dipti, thank you so much. This has been such an engaging conversation. In fact, so many of our community users have been posting comments, and honestly, I've not been able to go through everything, that they've been
Yeah.
sharing. We've not been able to address all the questions that they've been asking, but it's been so much fun having you here and to have everybody who's listening to you engage with you as well. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for giving all of us a little bit more inspiration to go about our day as well.
Thank you, Apurva. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here. And of course, a big thank you to the entire Get Basis team for empowering women. I think no woman is unstoppable. And with a little bit of support, I think everybody can take this plunge.
Thank you.